Hi everyone. This is going to be a two-part video. I am going to show you as part of fall, it's kind of a wreath, but not really. It'll become clearer in the second video. But as part of that, I'm creating my own embellishments, and I thought this would be a really good tutorial to show you. So because it's just so much more economical and to make your own, and not just that, I mean, you can color coordinate to your heart's content, so it's going to be exactly what you need for whatever project you're doing. And I've got a few of my favorite products to create leaves and berries and things, as you see here in the picture. So I just thought I'd show you how I create these. There's lots of different ways of doing it. I'm going to show you a few different techniques with these. And then in the second part of the video, I'll actually be putting the fall project. So it's going to be a home decor item, and I'll link down to the description below. I will also put a link in the description to my blog, the craftscurator.com, and you'll be able to find a more detailed instructions there and links to any products that I'm using in case you want to look at a few options if you don't have similar items to these. The techniques that I'm going to show you work with anything, so if you have similar items already in your stash, please give these a go. These techniques go with the stuff you've already got. If not, then these are just some ideas of some of the products you can use, but there's lots and lots of things on the market, so hopefully this will just show you how you can do them. So I've got a few different things here. I think the first one that I'll start off with are these berry branches. So if I bring them up close, you can see how they're sparkly, and they've got these beautiful 3D berries painted in. So I'm going to show you how I've achieved this look. Then there's a very similar one where I've changed the color of the berries, and they're not raised as such. These are glittered berries. I'll show you how to do that as well, but kind of the same concept, lots of sparkle, beautiful things. So these would obviously be gorgeous for Christmas projects as well, and if you just change up the colors, they are going to be great for spring as well. If you just change them up to more kind of pastel tones, it's really just down to your imagination. So this is the same as these ones. So I'll show you those first, and then we'll come back to these other beautiful, gorgeous goodies in there. So the first thing you'll need, so the way I've created these is I've got actually several dies that are similar. This particular one, so I cut this out of just craft cardstock. And this is the die that I've used. So this is from Elizabeth Craft Designs. And again, I'll put a link to my blog, and you'll find all of the links to the products that I'm showcasing here, in case you want to go and have a better look. I've got, as I said, quite a few different ones. I've got another one or two at least from Elizabeth Craft Designs. I've got others from other brands. So there's another set. I might as well show you this. These are done differently, but I'll just show you in terms of, as we're talking about the dies. These are by Sizzix for Stampin' Up. These are an old set, so I don't know if you'll still be able to find these or not, but if I show you, this is the die that cuts those. So you see they're different sizes, but kind of the same principle applies. It's just basically branches, and in this case, if they've got little berries at the ends, or just any areas that are a little bit wider, which means you will be able to kind of create the berries effect, using different products in the options that I'm going to show you. So this is first step, is you just run it through your favorite die cutting machine, and you get a die cut shape. You can do this obviously out of whatever color cardstock you want. If you want to color these so they're true to the colors, mediums that you're going to use, you're better off cutting it in white cardstock, because then it's going to take the color and be true to the color you're applying on top. I purposely kind of wanted it to be a more rustic look, so I'm still undecided for the project I'm going to be making whether or not I'm going to paint the back. but and I actually only decided to paint that afterwards. I thought initially that I was going to keep the craft color, and then I decided it was a bit too light. I wanted something darker, so I then decided to paint over them. So whatever color you want, and I'm just going to quickly show you something else that you could consider doing. So this is another die by Elizabeth Craft Designs. I actually got this quite recently. I haven't poked that bit out yet. And it's a similar technique to how I make these. So I'll show you that in a second. But what I wanted to show, because I think it's just going to show better on this one, is this one I did from green cardstock. It's not exactly the same color. It's a bit lighter than the glitter that I've applied here at the top. But what I'm trying to say is you can just, if you know what color you're going to go for in terms of the glitter, you could just choose a cardstock that is the same or approximately the same color as the glitter you're going to be applying on top. And then that way you don't really need to go and paint over it as much. If you do white, you just need to be comfortable with the idea that you're either going to have to go over the edges, including on the sides, or that you're okay that it shows the white, right? Because if no matter how much good coverage you're going to have, like on the sides of the dies and on the back, it's still going to be white, so that's still going to show through. It really depends what project you're doing. But just to kind of give you that idea that you could just use colored cardstock to match the color of glitter you will apply. So back to these. So you start off with this piece, and then there's a few different things you could do. So if we go with this one and how you'd recreate this one, that's got the raised berries. They're still glittery and sparkly. I hope you can see that they are raised. It's really hard to show you that on camera. Hopefully you could see it there. Okay, so what you do, so start with that craft cardstock, and then you get this. It's still craft cardstock, but you've got the berries. So I just went ahead and did these so they would dry. But what I used for these are Nuvo drops. These in particular are Nuvo glitter drops because they have different types of drops. Some that are sparkly and glittery, some that are matte, some that are glossy, etc. So these are the glitter drops, and this particular color is the Golden Sunset. And just a tip in here about this, I bought this years and years ago and I hadn't been using it, and when I went to use it, it kind of had this color separation where you had lots of glitter at the bottom. I had them stored like this, and then you had kind of this cream band that had no glitter, and then you had a bit of glitter again at the top. So I just opened these up. Just a tip if it happens with this color or any other color. You can actually take these out. I'm not gonna try to do that now fully, but can you see it's coming apart? So you could just pull this out, basically the nozzle out, and then it gives you a big enough opening that you could go in with say like a wooden stick like this, like those stirrers you get from coffee shops, and you could just go in and mix it all up, and it's as good as new now. So if you notice that the same thing's happening to any of yours, you could do that. And then literally you just go in and you apply it. So if I grab this one that I haven't yet done, again, another tip is you're going to want to find a spare bit of something, tissue paper, spare paper, whatever, and you want to I call it burping because it's kind of what it is. So particularly, I don't think it's going to be a problem in this one. Yeah, it's fine, but sometimes there's air trapped inside, and when you do the first pushing to get product to come out, if I bring that up close, it's really running fine now, and it's quite a smooth dispensing, but sometimes you just get air pockets, and then when you do the first burp, you just and you don't want that, because then it's not going to give you a nice rounded shape in there. But in this case it's fine. The other tip, of course, is you might need pins to just unblock these. If you haven't used it for a long time, or if the area you live in is quite dry, then these will dry up quite quickly, but then easily solvable. You just get a pin in there, you kind of wiggle it around up and down, get the excess off your pin, and then you're good to go. So what you do is literally you will just, let me just zoom in a bit more, so hopefully you will be able to see this a bit better. But what you will do is you are just going to come over the berry and you're just going to slightly squeeze, and it kind of does the work for you. So can you see, you heard the burp there, even though I burped it. And then you just go over and you kind of smooth it out a bit so it's across the entire berry. If I do another one, you just squeeze, and you could even like go around a little bit. And what these will do, these products are really, really great quality. They will self-level. So if I bring this up closer to the camera now, can you see? So at this stage, if I touch it, this is really, really wet. It's just going to spread. Okay, so you can't touch it until it's fully dried, but it's going to dry, obviously depending on your conditions in your area, but it will dry in probably a couple of hours or so. You'll know when it's dried. It becomes a different color. If I just show you these next to each other, hopefully without touching those, can you see the difference? You get a lot more sparkle in these ones. So as they dry, they become sparkly. They're a bit milky, I suppose would be the word, when they're still wet. You definitely can't see that very well on camera. So you just keep basically doing that. I'm not going to do all of these on video because it's basically the same thing, but you just keep doing this. You just keep adding your favorite color of glitter. So I use this color because it really goes with the rest of the elements in the color scheme that I was going for, but literally whatever color drops you have, you can use those. And in this case I've used glitter, but again, you don't need to use glitter. So if you've got other Nuvo drops or drops by other brands, Ranger does stickles and they're absolutely wonderful as well. Any type of glitter dots or just drops that you have, it really doesn't matter if they're sparkly or glittery or not, but it's exactly the same principle. So you could stop there, and then that would basically give you this. So this is craft on with that glittery thing. What you could do, another idea is you could do a whole bunch of these, not color them, whether you do white or you do craft, and then you could just have them in a little box. This is what I do with all of my leftover embellishment things. And then whenever I need them for a project, I can come in and I can color them whichever color I want. So I'm going to show you next how I've colored these. But that's an idea. You don't need to decide everything up front. You could just sit on top in front of the TV and do a whole bunch of these and just let them dry, put them to one side, let them dry, and then they're there ready in a box for you to personalize the color to the project you're doing. So the way I got this color and all this glitter yumminess in the branches themselves was I used I'm going to show you 3 colors. Because I'm applying it to craft, they all looked pretty much the same, which was this color. But as I said, if you apply them to white, then it's going to show each of the colors much better. But I used these Spectrum Noir, bring that up closer to the camera, Spectrum Noir sparkle pens. And this is also by Spectrum Noir, but it's an older set by Leonie Pujol collection. So I've used copper. The pine cone will also give you a very similar effect, and this is mulled wine. But as I say, on craft, they all look pretty similar. If you've watched another one of my videos where I talk about these in a bit more detail, then I can show you the color palettes that I've got at least. There's lots and lots of colors. I know there's different brands as well that make them. Nuvo also has some, so check out my other video where I go into that in a bit more detail. The only tip I'd like to give you, in case you haven't watched that video yet and you're going to want to use these, please wear gloves. Otherwise, you need to be comfortable with the fact that your hands will be full of ink, because these babies are really, really juicy, and I don't know if they leak or if it's just because they're so juicy, but as soon as I grab them, you know, if I haven't been really careful in cleaning them after each use, the brush is so full of ink that it's going to go everywhere and it's going to go in your hands, and it's really difficult to come off your hands. So that would be a tip if you're going to use them. I'm not going to use that now for the same exact reason, but if I just take the cap off one of them carefully, she says. So it's got, as you can see, a brush nib, and literally you just go over this and paint them. So I might try to do it just on a tiny bit here, but I won't do it across everything because I'm going to have to touch it, and then that's when my hands are going to become a mess, and I don't want to do that right now. But hopefully you can see this. You just literally apply, and they're really juicy, as I say, and they're a bit like watercolor pens, except they are full of gorgeous glitter. And you're going to want to go in. It doesn't look like much now, I have to say, and that's because one of the properties of these is that the glitter is going to come through the most when they're fully dried. But can you see what I meant about on the sides? You'll be able to see that color coming through, whether it's white or craft or something. So you'd want to go in on the side, and also, sorry, it's off camera there, and it's probably not focused, but I think you get the idea. You just need to come in on the sides, and obviously on the back as well, if that's the look you're going for, that it's all the same color. And you're going to want to color the backs and the sides as well, because otherwise you will see that original color of the cardstock coming through. So this is how you do it, and then you just let this dry. Again, it's going to take maybe a couple of hours for it to fully dry, and then it's wonderful. So I could still achieve this look by using colored cardstock, and then just going in with the clear glitter on top of that, and that would save me a lot of having to paint and worried about the color in the back and the color on the sides. It's just I didn't think ahead that these would be the colors that I needed. As I said, I thought initially that I was going to use the craft as my base color. So just bear that in mind. If you know up front what you want, use that color cardstock, and then you can always go in and apply the dots on top of that, because actually it depends on which dots you use. Some of them are going to be opaque, some of them are going to be more translucent. So you will see some of the color coming through, but pretty much all of these are still going to have a tint of color coming through, but some are definitely more opaque than others. This, I think, would still show very close to the color that you can see here, but they are a bit translucent. So I'm going to put these to one side because they're not dried yet. So that's how you achieve these. Okay, we've done that. Sorry. These, however, are a little bit different. So same thing in terms of coloring the branches, as you can see, craft color, and then apply the glitter pen in there. But for these ends, and I really wish that you could feel the texture of these, because this is glitter as I've never seen or felt glitter before. It's by far my favorite glitter of all time. It's by Elizabeth Craft Designs. So this particular color is the True Red, and this is silk microfine glitter, and it's basically what it says on the tin. It's super fine glitter. I'll show you how to apply it, but do watch out Elizabeth Craft Design videos on YouTube. They're the best tutorials ever, and that's how I learned how to use this glitter. But this won't shed after you've applied it and kind of followed the instructions that I'll show you in a minute. These are not going to shed, or they're going to shed, I mean, so little. I mean, compared to anything that has glitter, anyone that's used glitter before knows you go and touch it and there. That's everywhere. It's in your hands, it's in your face, it's in your clothes. Not with this, because it's so super fine. It really, it's very smooth. Usually glitter is a bit textured and gritty, a bit like sand, whereas this isn't. It feels almost like velvety type. When you touch it, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. There's a myriad, I don't know how many colors, there's tons to choose from. This color I think just goes absolutely wonderfully, and I am going to save some of these, I think, for my Christmas projects. So how do you do these? Well, same exact principle as before. So I'm going to get another one of these, again just die cut from craft card. The difference here is going to be, so one top tip that I learned from watching the tutorials on Elizabeth Craft Designs YouTube channel, definitely recommend that, is you want to get yourself a little box, a little tray, whatever suits you. So there's just some of the other colors of glitter. And as I said, I'll put a link to my blog, and in my blog I'll list all of these colors that I've used and some close-up photos so you can see these better with some better lighting, which I don't have today, I'm afraid. So you're going to want to get yourself a little tray. In this case, I've got a plastic box, and that's what I'm using here. It does not matter what you use. And then the trick is really to, these are like the, I mean, I must say other brands are fine. These are Swifter dust cloths. I don't know exactly what they're called. I think that's what they're called. Again, I'll try to find it and put a link to that as well. But I think you can get these in, you know, in your local supermarket. And these will basically capture the glitter. So if this was paper, as I tilted it, it would have been going everywhere and whatever. This captures it. It's also a great tip for you to just then clean your surface afterwards, is just use one of these to wipe your surface, because it's electrostatic, I suppose. Static, not electrostatic, static. And it's going to pick up all of those fine glitters. Another tip, I don't have it here with me, is We Are Memory Keepers does this super cute glitter vacuum cleaner. So it's like this tiny thing. I'll put a definitely put a photo up on my blog with that. I haven't used it much, I confess, because I don't use glitter all that much, but it's another really handy thing to clean your surfaces of the glitter. So this would be your base tray, and then you can use coffee filters. You could just use a plain sheet of copy paper, whatever you want to use. But what you want to do is you're going to want to have that inside your box, and you're going to want, this is me, okay, I don't want to have any color contamination between my colors. So if I'm going to use the green, I want to have one sheet for that. And if I'm going to use the brown, I don't want to use the same thing, because then when I decant it back into my little jar, I don't want contamination of the different colors. But I'm going to continue on with the red one, just to show you how we've achieved this. Different ways of doing this. You could just leave it in the pot as it is, just place the pot in here. I think it's easier for me to dispense a little bit or a lot, it doesn't matter, because it's all eventually going to come back into the little jar. But I'm going to add a generous amount in there, and you kind of want, you don't want it to spread, you kind of want it to be a little amount of glitter. And then your best friend for this task, I found, is a quickie glue pen. So my favorite one is this one by Sakura, I'm sure that's the brand. Yeah, Sakura. And I'm going to apply glue to the bits where I want it. I'm going to let it go. So if you've not used this before, when you first apply it, it's blue. And then as it dries, it becomes transparent. So I'm going to want it to be a bit more on the transparent side than on the blue side. Because if it's too wet, it's not going to work for the second part of how you need to apply this glitter, or how you get the best results with it. So I'm going to start doing that, and then hopefully this dries relatively quickly. So I mean, there's absolutely no science to this. You just apply, hopefully you can see that. Yeah, can you see there's blue there? And I'm going to move on to this one, and as I said, as it dries, it will go from blue to transparent, and that's when you know it's, instead of it just being liquid as it is when it comes off the pen, that's a sign that it would have begun to dry and it's tacky. And it's at that stage that I want to apply the glitter, because I kind of want to do everything in one go. If for some reason, like for example now that I'm demoing this, I don't have a lot of time to wait, you could totally go in at this stage to get the glitter in there. You're probably going to get a more raised, slightly, it depends how much glue you've put there, but a slightly more raised effect than if you let this spread out and become tackier. It does mean that you can't go in and do the second part to get the glitter to really be encapsulated there and to shine at its best. So I'm going to put that to one side, and what I'll do is I'll show you the colors that I've got, and they all go, sorry, I've got a lot more of these, confession time. These are just the ones that I thought would go really well for this fall project, which there'll be a second video actually showing you the project. This is just how you make the embellishments. So you've seen this one in the berries here, and this is the true red. And then I've got this one, which is a rich chocolate. It's called chocolate, but it's a rich chocolate color. It's absolutely stunning. And then I'm very funny with greens. I might have mentioned that in a few of my videos. This one is so gorgeous. It's a dark kind of forest green. Well, it's actually exactly what it's called, forest green color. It's a dark, yeah, gorgeous color. Really nice for fall. And this is going to be one of my favorites at the moment. It's called Rust, and that's basically what it looks like. But rust, when people refer to rust as a color or as a tone, sometimes it can be quite bright coppery, and I don't always like that very much. This isn't. This is really dark and deep rust color. And I'll show you exactly what it looks like. I'll show you the chocolate and the rust in these. And by the way, these are achieved using a different technique, so I'll come to this in a bit. But I'll put these side by side and you can see the difference in color. So this is the rust and this is the chocolate. But can you see just how absolutely gorgeously sparkling this is? And again, same thing, it's really silky on touch. There's not much glitter coming out at all. It doesn't shred glitter all over the place. And these are just adorable. So if I come back to this, I can show you how this has began to change. Can you see this was all blue in the berries that are colored, and now there's only a tiny bit of blue in each of these, and the rest is already beginning to dry. And if I tilt this like this a bit, you can see how it's shiny as opposed to the berries that don't have any glue on. So at this stage, I'm happy that I can go ahead and show you the next stage. I would probably wait until they're a tiny bit tackier and not as blue, but it's going to be fine. So I've got my amount of glitter there. I'm just going to dip this in. And in this particular shape, it's really easy to do that because obviously I can touch other parts of the branch. When I've done it before, I have put glue on all of them. Because then by the time I get to the last one, this might have started drying, and then I go in each section and I obviously, you can do that. I then do a few shakes, but not too vigorously, because otherwise glitter will go everywhere. And if there isn't, although from static there might be bits of glitter in other places, if you just shake it off, it will come off, but not from the places where you've added the glue to. Okay. And what you can do, and I'm going to do this a bit tentatively because the glue is still a little bit wet, but what you need to do with this microfine glitter to get it to be at its best, really, and sparkliest, is you're going to want to basically rub it, okay, like buff it, basically. Yeah, and I need to be careful because can you see it's now come on my finger, because the glue isn't fully dried yet. So I'm not going to attempt to do that with the others because this is really not dry yet. I'm going to leave this to one side and I'll come back to it in a little bit once I've shown you how to do the other embellishments. But there's no science to it. You just need to go in and rub it with your finger. And then obviously you want to do it on top of your little tray thing. And then when you're done and you've shaken everything off, it's a good idea to have an inexpensive kind of makeup brush, like a fluffy one. And then you can use that to wipe off the excess off of bits you don't want as well. I'm not going to touch that bit because, as I said, the glue isn't dry yet. And the reason for, it can be a little bit, you need to have a bit more patience, let it dry. That is why my favorite way of using this glitter is actually not using liquid glue at all. So this is the cardstock with the Elizabeth Craft Designs double-sided tape at the back. So you can get this tape, check out the website, there's other brands as well, and obviously I haven't tried all of them, but from all of the ones that I've tried, I think this is the best. The tape peels off, the back of the tape peels off really easily. You can use these as well. There's different widths. There's like really skinny strip rolls. You can get them as A4 sheets. You can get them as 6x6. My favorite size to get is this, which is a 2.5-inch roll. I don't know how many meters are in it. I don't know, something like 25. I don't know. I mean, there's tons in each roll. And the reason I really like this size is because then it will go through my Sidekick die cutting machine. I've got the Tim Holtz one. Obviously there's other brands and other small die cutting machines, but for small embellishments this is the one that I usually have, and that's the size of the opening you have here on these is 2.5 inches. So this is absolutely perfect to then be used with those machines. So you can use die cutting machines, or you can use paper punches, which is what I've done to cut these here. So this is just cardstock. I've got a brown and I've got a green there, and I've just used a little bit of leftover. So when I cut the other ones, I got all of these tiny triangles and tiny bits of things. I save all of these because then you could do these. You could do this, you could do it even smaller. You could do little stars. So using die cut dies or punches. So in this case I've used this 1/2 inch punch, circle punch, to cut these out. And the way you now apply the glitter is super easy, because it's not a wet glue. You don't need to wait for anything. You could do that buffing technique I was trying to show you earlier without any issues. So the tape peels right off, and obviously you can't really tell, but now this is quite sticky. And now you just bring back my glitter tray. You just apply glitter to it. That's really all there is. And there'll be glitter everywhere, but it's fine because you could see that it will come off with just a few shakes from the back because there's no glue there. And obviously I've got it on my fingers now, so you might want to put this to one side and brush the glitter off. You could do the same thing with this. So you can see there's glitter there, and now I could just brush it off into there. Now it's all going to go into the pot. You brush off the excess like that, and now you just go in and you buff. Just basically you just go around in a circle with the tip of your finger. And the more you do this, the shinier it will be. And it's kind of buffing away all the excess glitter that might be there through static, but that it's not really glued to your piece. And that's what ensures that it's so velvety smooth now, and that there will be no glitter bits coming off, or hardly any at all. It's going to become kind of non-shed glitter. So you could do a whole page if you want. So you know, non-shed glitter pages, sheets of paper can be really expensive, and it might not be exactly the color you want. Whereas with these, you just, you know, you could buy this tape, instead of it being in a small roll, you could buy it on an A4 sheet, and then you could glitter the entire page, and there you have it. You have exactly the color of glitter that you want. Obviously, you would have needed to have bought the color glitter you want. And yeah, so you can use it for whole sheet, for tiny bits, or on your dies. And this is how I've created these. There's really no more skills than the fact that you apply tape to some cardstock, you peel the back of the tape off, you dump it in your glitter, and that's it. Now when you're done with it, you're going to grab your little pot again. So if you used glitter before, you're well versed with this technique, but that's why you want to get it on a, doesn't have to be a coffee filter, it could just be a plain sheet of copier paper. But you want to have a crease in the middle, because that just helps it when you're trying to pour. It becomes like a little paper funnel. And then you just, with your finger, you just lightly tap the back of this to get all of those tiny bits of glitter onto your pot. And that is it. And then you'll still have tiny bits left over. If you're really patient and you want to, you know, if you don't have other things in your surface, you can like brush them into a little mound, and then you could get it to the edge of the table and scoop this in. Or you could use that super cute vacuum, glitter vacuum that I mentioned from We Are Memory Keepers. I will post a photo on my blog, thecraftscurator.com, so go and check that out. There's going to be more pictures there. The other thing I wanted to say is, when you get the tape off, so in this case these two little circles I get these these little dots. This is just the back of the tape, yeah? Don't throw these away, because I'm not going to go into that. I wouldn't do it justice. Elsa's from Elizabeth Craft Designs has got really, you know, genius tutorials on how you can use these to get effects, like background effects with glitter and two-tone glitters. But my tip is just, you're going to want to keep them, because you can achieve really stunning results using glitter and the back of these tape sheets. So let's go back to this, and I think by now it's safe. Yeah, now it's safe for me to go in and buff these, and these are now not coming out. Okay, whereas with that I tried to buff it when the glue was still wet, and it took a bit of the glitter off. Can you see there? But what you can do is you wait until it's fully, yeah, and these have just become even sparklier now that I've buffed them. Can you see that? Yeah. You probably can't see it too well on camera, but trust me, when you get these in real life, you'll see the difference. Particularly when it's a larger surface, you'll see it even better if you compare a side that you've already buffed and one that you haven't. You see how much more it will sparkle once you've done that. You can now just go in again with your Quickie glue pen and fill in those spaces that I accidentally brushed the glitter off of the die, and then you just do the same thing. You dunk it in the glitter again, and you wait until it's dried, and then you buff it. And this is how you will achieve these ones. So we've gone through almost everything, or at least the ones that I think kind of required an explanation, which are the ones with the Nouveau glitter drops as berries. These ones where I've used the Elizabeth Craft Designs fine microfine glitter, silk microfine glitter is the name of it, and these, which are using the same thing, but instead of a Quickie glue pen that you do for the berries, you just use the Elizabeth Craft Designs glue tape, and they're matching colors at the back. And the only thing that's left, and this is there's no technique involved in these almost at all. These are just die cuts, but I just wanted to show you because they're so absolutely gorgeous. So the only thing I did with these are Tim Holtz emboss lids. So that means it's an embossing folder that cuts the shape at the same time. So you just get plain bit of paper. I achieve these background colors using brushes. I'll put a link to that video as well if you don't know what brushes are. Super fun to use, and you get really amazing results. And actually, I think these weren't brushes, now just looking at it, because it's got this walnut pigment, so this was my other brand that I showed in that video. But you just grab a piece of cardstock. Could be plain cardstock, could be like this, it could be a watercolor background that you've created, whatever. It could be a designer's newspaper as well, and you just run it through your die cutting machine. So I've got the embossing folder here, so it's like this. So it's got 2 die cut so it cuts the shape, yeah, so this is the big one and this cuts the small one, and at the same time, hopefully you can see this, it will emboss, and it's kind of, these are like 3D embossing effects. So this is the effect you get on the front, and this is the back, equally gorgeous. And you get these two sizes in there. And the only other thing I've done is I've applied some bit of gilding wax. So I've got this, which is the Treasure Copper. It's such a beautiful color. You can apply it with your finger. I applied it with a little dauber. You can see it's still tinted from that. And I've also got this other one by Creative Expressions, and this is the deep red. And because those were kind of the two colors that I had going, I've applied a bit of that depending on, so this one was the copper one. I don't know that you'll be able to see that very well on camera, but that just brings out all of these veins that are embossed. It just brings out that detail even further. It's just super gorgeous. And then the final ones are these. So this is using some metallic copper mirror sheets. These are A4 sheets. This particular color is my all-time absolute favorite. This is by Stampin' Up. You probably will be able to find other brands and you know, different tones. This is just my favorite ever. So I always need to be stocked up on these because they're just so absolutely gorgeous. Such a gorgeous tone. And this is a similar thing. So it's a two-step process. And this particular die, I think it might be retired. I'm not entirely sure, but it is a stamp set by Stampin' Up, and it's got matching dies, and it's really the dies that I've used for these. So you've got this, and you've got the leaves, and this is a two-step one. So these ones will emboss what you see here, and then there'll be an outline shape. Yeah, so can you see? So this will cut the outline. Yeah, and then this one you run on top, and it will create those veins that you see embossed there. Just absolutely gorgeous. And I've got a few different ones. There's a second set that's got the maple leaves. There's two sizes of those, but it's all the same principle, really. So it was just to show you how gorgeous this looks if it's metallic mirror type of cardstock. So it could be mirror, it could just be a matte metallic, but particularly with embossing techniques like these, it just looks so super gorgeous. So I think that's the roundup of the main embellishments that I'm going to be using. Watch out for the second video where I'm actually going to put together the final project. I will probably put some pictures at the end of this video of that final thing, so you know what I'm talking about. If you liked this video, if you thought it was helpful to understand how to build these ones, hopefully it would have inspired you to create your own. Love to see your creations, so visit me on my blog and share your creations there with us. If you have any questions, please pop them down in the comments below on YouTube, and be sure to visit my website, my blog, thecraftscurator.com. I'll put links and more detailed pictures of the products that I've used and of the final embellishments a bit up close, because you can't really see much with the light that I have on while I'm recording this. Sorry about that. Hopefully you liked this video. Please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel if you like these, and take care until next time. Bye.